6 of the daily vlogs while I try to finish my book. If you're new here, hi, my name is Katie Bismer. I'm an author and an editor. I have 10 books out currently, and we are vlogging every day while I'm trying to finish book number 11. This is day 6. Playlist is linked down below if you want to get caught up, but you're also fine starting here. So we're currently in the line editing phase. I got another 3 chapters done this morning, and I've been emailing back and forth with my proofreader to get on her calendar to finally set that date. And I feel like from here there's going to be a domino effect as I solidify the release date and everything that goes with that. So I have officially booked her. I believe it's for August 12th. So that's when I need to be completely done with this book, and she'll have it back to me before the end of August, which was ideal. I'm kind of tentatively aiming for a September release, but I wanted to give myself enough time after I got the proofread done to do another read myself, to get the physical copies printed and sent to me, because I'm planning on doing a lot of like influencer PR boxes and arcs and all of that kind of stuff, and I need the books to be able to do that. So yeah, I'm like I said, tentatively thinking September, like late September is what I'm gonna aim for. Mainly it depends on how far I get in book 2, because ideally I would like to be at least have a full draft of book 2 done before book 1 comes out. So stay tuned over the next couple of months and we'll see how far we get in that. I think those are my main updates for now. I'm gonna answer some questions that you guys left on yesterday's vlog. If you have some more that you want answered tomorrow, feel free to comment them on today's. And just realized now the hat might be a mistake if this is like casting really bad shadows on me. Ignore that. Okay, this is a good place to start. Would you, or have you already made a video talking about what you would do differently if you could go back and publish your debut again? I don't think I have. I think I've kind of mentioned in several videos like here and there some things, but I don't think I've ever like sat down and talked about it. So this is a little bit murky if you're new here. What I consider to be my debut is The Anti-Virginity Pact, which came out in June of 2020. This is my first novel. It's a young adult contemporary. It's a little bit murky because I also had a book, The Sweetest Kind of Poison, come out in August of 2018, which was a poetry collection that I published just for fun, mainly while I was in college. So that's like technically my first book, but The Anti-Virginity Pact is the first thing I published. I'd already graduated college. I decided I was gonna really seriously pursue publishing. 2 very, very different experiences. I consider this to be my first book. But The Sweetest Kind of Poison is still out there if you feel so inclined to read it. And here's why my answer might not be super helpful on this one. I've said like, yeah, I made a lot of mistakes with publishing that book, but I'm also the kind of person, like if I could go back and do it again, I wouldn't do anything differently, because the mistakes that I made, like I learned really valuable things from them that I needed to learn at some point. So if I hadn't made those mistakes with that book, I would have made them within one in the future. So like I'm grateful for the mistakes that I made with that book, and I wouldn't change them. I think they were important. That book was really a passion project. It was really just for me. It's a very personal book for me. It's something that I wrote when I was in high school. I was like 17. Found it again my senior year of college, rewrote it, and decided to publish it. So really no business or analytical thought went into that book. It was strictly this book I was really passionate about, and I tried to make it the best it could be from a writing standpoint. I also majored in creative writing in college, but I didn't know anything about the market or genre expectations. I didn't even know how to categorize it at first. At first I was calling it a romance, and it's not a romance. It had a different cover originally. That cover change happened when the companion book to it came out a year later, the anti-relationship year. I hired a lot of professionals thinking that was the right move, and I could trust those specific professionals because they had a background in traditional publishing and they had worked with authors whose books I'd read and enjoyed. And in my experience, now that I'm working on book number 11 and I've worked with a great range of professionals, people who have experience working with trad pub, like if you are going indie pub, you are better off working with professionals who are working with other indie authors for a variety of different reasons. But I also feel this is 100% my interpretation on the situation. No valid facts, would not stand up in a court of law. I feel like the professionals that I hired in the past who were like fully employed by major publishing houses, and they worked with trad pub books, and then they did little indie projects on the side as freelancing, I feel like they didn't take my books as seriously as their trad pub projects, overcharged me, underdelivered. Frankly, I felt like taken advantage of. So if anything, that is one, I don't even want to say I wouldn't do it, but that is one thing I learned with that experience. I've also talked about like mistakes I've made with that series in general. There are 2 companion standalones, they're interconnected. One is a YA hard-hitting contemporary, and then one's a new adult romance. Those genres really don't go together. So the choice that I made to brand them together, they've got matching covers, they're in a series. I don't really get that organic read through as much as you would with a similar series that did a better job, basically. But also, I don't know if I would change that, because those books are interconnected. The main character of the Anti-Relationship Year is the best friend of the main character in the Virginity Pact, the Anti-Virginity Pact, and I could have like branded them and marketed them as standalones. I don't know if that would have been any more successful, to be honest. And I'm also I'm really happy with those books, and I'm proud of those books, and they've been challenging to market. They may not have sold as well because of the choices that I made, but I wouldn't change it, and I'm glad that I have those books. I had a nightmare of a experience making the audiobook for book one, because I did strictly a royalty share through ACX instead of doing the paid per finished hour thing. I've talked about that quite a bit. I think I have a whole video on it. I can link it somewhere. But to sum it up, my narrator was brand new, trying to get experience. Don't fault her for it, but I also feel like she really didn't know what she was doing. Wasn't a very professional experience. It was supposed to take her a month, and it took her like over 6 months to get my audiobook done, which I had a whole like marketing plan leading up to book 2's release, and the audiobook was a part of that. Ruined all of my plans. Sorry if you can hear my cat crying. To wrap it all up, it was a learning experience. Everything about that book was a learning experience. Everything about that book was my first experience hiring people. I didn't know anything about like needing to know your target audience before writing or publishing a book, or what categories to put it in, keywords, how to market, making your cover match your genre. I didn't know anything about anything, but that book taught me all of that, so I wouldn't change anything. Next we have, what is your favorite line that you've written? I actually have no idea, because I do not remember that kind of stuff. Like even the book that I'm currently writing, I couldn't tell you. Like I don't know, my brain doesn't work that way. If you're watching this, if you're a writer, do you have like favorite lines that you've written? I can't think of anything like specific. In general, I feel like one of my strengths, one thing that I love and that readers often love, is the banter in my books between love interests. I don't have a specific line in mind, but in general, my little banter, I enjoy that. I have been told by my beta readers that the banter between Gracie and her love interest in this book that I'm working on is their favorite of mine. So if that's something you enjoy, hopefully this one delivers on that. Do you have any tips for someone who wants to begin doing writing vlogs? I don't feel like I'm particularly good at them at all. I've been making videos for 8 years now, and for some reason people have stuck around and they're still watching them. If you see how many views I get on average versus my subscribers and how many views I used to get, it's clearly gone down over the years. But that's because for me, I really just make these for me. I really just make these for fun. I like documenting everything, and it's less about the views for me. So I could put in a little more effort, but I don't really feel any desire to do that. So for me, I feel like the most important thing is to know what you want to get out of it ahead of time. For me, I'm just here for the vibes. I'm just here for a good time. So as long as you're having fun, for some reason, apparently that makes people show up. Yeah, that would be my ultimate piece of advice for anyone who wants to make videos in general. If you're enjoying it, you're gonna stick with it, and I think it comes through on the videos. Any tips on doing YouTube shorts for Authortube? If you've been around for the past week and you've seen the absolute shit show that has been one of my YouTube shorts, I'm probably not the person to ask. I feel like the YouTube shorts algorithm is not as good as the other short form apps, so if you're gonna start somewhere, honestly I would recommend maybe trying TikTok or Instagram first instead. I've had way more success with those, and then I just cross-post the videos that I made over there to YouTube Shorts. With YouTube Shorts, I just post them and I hope for the best, and sometimes I manage to hit like the reader audience on YouTube, and sometimes I end up in the wasteland, the trenches. It feels more like a lottery than anything else. And the videos that do well on Instagram, TikTok, they don't do well over here. The videos that do well over here don't do well over there. So it's very interesting. It's a very different audience, and you never know which audience you're gonna get. It's not the same. It doesn't show it to my followers most of the time. It's usually just like random people, so you really can't predict it. I have noticed, at least with YouTube Shorts, if you're in the video, person in the video, those do better. Whereas if you're on Instagram, if it's just like a background or a book, you have a better chance of success over there. Over here, if it's just a background or a book, I don't think I've ever had one of those be successful over here. How roughly do your word counts equate to page numbers? What was the word count for your different books? How many pages did they equate to in printing? So this really depends on your formatting, and you can manipulate this when you're in the formatting process to make the book longer or shorter. A lot of people will purposefully make them shorter because it's cheaper to print that way. Depends on which font you use, the font size, the margins, the space in between lines. Like there's so many factors that go into this. off the top of my head, if I can remember. Let me grab my books. Marionettes book 1 is in the 70,000 range. I want to say it's like 71, maybe 74. I really don't remember exactly. In the 70s, 275 pages. To compare, this book is almost exactly the same word count. I feel like it's like 67 or 69, somewhere upper 60,000s. Slightly different formatting, 285 pages. So this one is shorter word count wise, but the paperback is a few pages longer because the formatting's different. This one in the 80,000 range, I feel like it's like around 85, maybe 84K, something like that. 343. This one's a long one, 98K, somewhere around there. Purposefully made the formatting a little more squished together to make it shorter. 380. I think this is my longest book. Think about 115K, somewhere around there. A little over 450 pages. Also a long one, I feel like it's like 110, 112K. About 440. This one, I feel like it was in the 90s, 98,000, something like that. 380. How do you deal with deadlines when you have other crazy stuff going on? Trying to edit my book on pre-order while moving and it's been stressful. I can imagine, oh my gosh. This is not gonna be very helpful either. Luckily, because I can make my own deadlines, I will purposefully schedule them around my life, knowing I'm going to be busy, so I don't want anything going on there. So I try to purposefully schedule my deadlines around times I don't have a lot going on. With that said though, in general, I try to prioritize what am I the most stressed about, and then I will do that first thing in the morning, like immediately get it out of the way. And then our final question for today, because I was talking about buying a house. Do you think you'll look to buy where you're currently living, or do you want to explore more cities, areas before committing? I currently live in Portland, Oregon. The place that I'm selling is currently in Denver, Colorado. And I'm just kind of like keeping my options open, keeping my mind open. I'm not dead set on one area. I'm just kind of waiting until I find the right thing for me. I think my whole experience having my condo has kind of made this feel less scary and like less permanent, because I lived in the condo for 2 years, then rented it out, now I'm selling it. So for me, like I ideally want to find some place that I would really enjoy to live, but it's also, I kind of think I'm going into it with the mindset of it doesn't have to be the perfect thing. I think it's better to make a decision rather than trying to like wait and make the perfect decision. And if I end up living there for 2 years, then decide I want to move along, I could do the same thing I did with the condo, or I don't know, like it'll work itself out, it'll all be fine. If you haven't gathered, that's kind of my personality. We go with it, we trust it'll work out for the best. I think those are all the questions. It's about 3:30, so I am gonna get back to working on Gracie's book. The chapter that I wrapped up before this was one of my newer scenes, so it definitely took me longer to get through that line edit because it was like rough draft kind of quality. I think I'd like to get through at least one more chapter today. We'll see. I'm kind of stuck because this section, I've been like wondering if I need to fix this for like several drafts now, because I have my 2 POV characters and I have this one situation where like I want to see it from both of their points of view. So I have so many chapter changes within the same scene, and then it just like continues from the other POV, and I'm worried I did it one time too many, but I don't know if I want to change it. I don't know. So I'm stuck a little bit thinking about that. What was all the screaming about? What happened? You know something new that's been happening quite a bit, which I get all of the conversations about AI. It's a touchy subject, people have very strong opinions about it. I have been getting so many, occasionally like accusations of AI. Usually on YouTube shorts, as we were talking about, I've posted like character art there before and then being like, ew, this is AI art. It's not. I worked step by step with the artist and paid them hundreds of dollars to make it. Or I posted a video today about me forgetting things that happened in my own books because I'm 11 books in and I published books years ago. I don't remember. I also just have a bad memory, period. And then being like, sounds like you use AI to generate your books. Like, I don't really know where the line is for this, because the whole purpose of being against AI, especially in artistic spaces, is to protect and value art created by human beings. And I don't know, attacking people and jumping to conclusions about the population that you're theoretically trying to protect just like doesn't, where's the disconnect here? It's something I just feel like I've had to defend myself about at least like 3 or 4 times at this point, and I'm just like, I don't use AI for anything. You're barking up the wrong tree here. Anyway, I think I'm gonna end the vlog here. Here's our final word count, and if I end up working on this anymore tonight, I'll include it in tomorrow's vlog. But yeah, I'm just kind of in this stuck place where I'm sitting here and I'm thinking and I might just need to kind of process this and mull over this for a little bit before we can jump back in. So that's it for day 6. Thanks for hanging out. See you guys tomorrow. No.